also, I mean, the reason I like Go for the last 14 years anyway is just because I can containerize it very easily in a single static binary and things like that. So, yeah. So the first part of the process I was using was I'd, get the AI to read the PHP code, get the AI to read the regression tests, and then write Go code to do that. And that went on for a while. It would cycle through, it would, fix a regression test, and then I'd make the changes and commit it. And sometimes, as I said, it got carried away and it got really excited. It's like, hang on, we're in a loop here. I know what to do with loops. Execute them. And so it would then try and solve 10 regression tests at a go and start, yeah. It started to make so much change. But actually that was using Claude Opus 4.3, I think, about that time. And that sort of thing doesn't seem to happen with newer versions that I'm using now. I did use other models, not just Claude, so I've also played around with doing this with Gemini, with Mistral, with Qwen, with a variety of other models. But ultimately, every time I tried to use other models, Claude was typically better, more amenable to my process. So anyway, after working on that, the more recent process, I kind of got to the end of the regression tests that I could use from DebConf26. It's pretty much about 90% complete, and so I switched more to this RFC focused process where I get the AI to read the RFC and to propose code for it, potentially to write regression tests for it. And also, sometimes when it's written something and I disagree with the way it's done it, I tell it to go and look at the way the PHP code implemented it and see if it can gain any insights from that as well. So sometimes, so it still goes back and looks at the PHP code, but much less often now, but still gets insights from it. So maybe that PHP was good. Yeah, so that's kind of how it works now. And so this year, there were a lot more commits to DebConf Go. And I think as of today, or as of last week, 25,000 lines of Go, 25,500 lines of PHP. So it's a sort of similar complexity now. I have released a version 1 of DebConf Go, and I'm using it. So it's designed to be backward compatible. So if you use DebConf in PHP, you can just turn off your Apache PHP stack, start up your DebConf Go binary, give it the right incantations, and it will. It should just work. It did for me. So yeah, there's a few tests that I haven't converted yet. Mostly these are ones that are old clients that don't exist anymore, because when DebConf was written, I was writing it for quite a wild west of CalDev client software, and the CalDev client software has stabilized a lot in the last 10 years. So some of these are unnecessary. DebConf also had some strange off-the-wall uses that I coded specifically into it for clients, and those don't exist anymore. And so, I mean, commercial clients, not CalDev clients. So yeah, my calendar runs on it. And I've used it for my schedule for all of my travels around South America to get to DebConf. And huh? That's why I was not late. The biggest troubles I've had getting around South America have been WhatsApp continually blocking my thing because I'm doing something wrong with WhatsApp. So I don't know what that is about. Yeah. I don't have any insight into what they're doing. I suspect they're using an AI to analyze my calls, and because I only use WhatsApp for travel, it looks weird. Anyway, I would love to say that DavCal Go is in Debian, but I got it packaged last week, and one of my co-conspirators on the DFSG team, well, he found that I'd missed some copyright statements that were in there, and so I need to fix the copyright in there. But it's good that, you know, being in the DFSG team, we don't get special treatment. Okay, so second project, again, I mean, I am a calendaring geek. This is a lot of Java, because Java is a lot more verbose than either PHP or Go, I guess. And I wrote this when I first founded Morphos. My first job was to write this, but I didn't know Java at the time. So I hired a recent university graduate, and we argued our way into an calendaring app, and a bunch of other Android applications as well, because it was Android that I really wanted to work with on. And so, yeah, but again, in 2012, I stopped working on it. And so you get 13 years of platform drift. So it had been built with Eclipse and Ant, and all of these things have changed in there. The runtime permissions, things like notifications now need permissions. Alarms have got much more complicated in their permission stack. Background tasks, you know, are all done differently now. And all of these things had changed in the way. So I could run ACAL on my phone, but it sort of worked really badly and didn't, it was broken in lots of ways. But it wasn't because of the bad code or anything, it was just because of the stack had changed. So yeah, so I cranked up the AI again, and this is, you know, 10 days of switching things, you know, using Android key stores and removing legacy stuff and changing and then fixing a bug. But yeah, and this is the sort of thing that happened. So the renovation was relatively quick in this case. Most of the code's good. Most of the layout of things worked. It's just phones have got faster, and so in this case it became even smoother in its animations and stuff. But now it's working well, and I have my whole calendar schedule for the conference is all in here, so we can see. You can see the. It's very small, of course, but you can see the animation of week view, or you can look into month view. We can see today somewhere there's a talk by somebody about using AI tools. Anyway, but works well, and it even can help me get to appointments on time. Yep, so renovation is not rewriting, it's still in Java. The architecture of the app is still the same. All of the views are still the same. Just the infrastructure has changed, the way it makes HTTP requests, the way it presents alarms when you have a calendar event coming up, all of these kinds of things. So yeah, it's my daily calendar. Yeah, so I've got 3 projects that I will talk about with messing with AI. They're all kind of different. So the last one, a bit more fun, I bought an MG4. Anybody knows what an MG4 is? So I bought an MG4, and my wife has a much fancier car, which has a much fancier interface. Weirdly, they're both running Android. So she's got a Polestar 2, which is running Android Automotive, but MG is Chinese designed and manufactured, well, Chinese designed particularly, and so they didn't pay Google or anything to use the proper Android Automotive. They downloaded the Android Automotive open source and just used that, and that's fine. One of the good things they did when they did that is that they downloaded the private and public key pair for Android Automotive Open Source. And when they signed all of their binaries for it, they used the private key that they downloaded. And so anybody, of course, can download that private key. So it's not really what you would call a private key. But this turns out to be an advantage because it means I can run system binaries on my car. So I hacked into the car a bit. This happened to be the instructions that I use. And I downloaded all of the APKs from there and unpacked them all into the Android Dalvik assembler and disassembled them, right? So you get 2.6 gigs of this thing called Smali. And you can read it like, you know, this is on charging settings change. One of the advantages of this over traditional assembler is that you do get names. So the fact that we know that this is called on charging settings changed is useful in terms of understanding it. But really, it really is a low-level language. And I might be able to read a few hundred lines of it if I really needed to, but 2.6 gigs is a lot. And so 2.6 gigs of intense assembly language, but Claude just lapped it up. And so you can go, you know, it will just create these AIDL interface files where you've got all of the calls you can make, and it knows what parameters each call takes and how many there are. And so you can work out from that, you know, how to log what happens when the charging status changes and what it's changed to, and you can build a system that, you know, sets the lane keeping assist, sets one pedal driving to on, and helps you play your music. That's important. And so this is the console of my car, parked in the driveway. So I didn't take the photo while I was driving. Yeah, and so that's been quite a fun project. Yeah, so it's good. Yeah, does anybody have any questions? I mean, I still have a little more talk if you don't want to ask questions yet, but you.
I do have one question. When you rewrote your dev server software, so you kept the regression tests before the AI modifications,
Yeah.
right? Did you end up changing the regression tests along the way or not at all?
I ended up changing them substantially. For one thing, I ended up changing the language that the regression tests used. The regression tests also depended on a Perl binary to do some aspects of it, so that got kind of coded out of it. One thing in the new system is that there is a DevCal test binary that is written in Go that actually is what processes all of the regression tests. But it processes it against DevCal as a server running, right? So the responses are coming from DevCal, but the tests are being written from this new Go binary. And so the language got improved a bit. There were new features added to it. So the tests changed, and yeah, the results changed too, in systematic, structured ways.
A bit of a follow-up. Did you check that when you changed the code to trigger the regression tests still fired?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, you can watch the regression tests run,
okay.
and you can see them run. And also one of the things I added to the regression tests quite late in the process was the ability to time them. because performance was the last thing that I wanted to resolve, and it was taking me about 5 minutes to run the regression tests. It's just a non-trivial amount of time. It wasn't just sitting there in a loop pretending, and they all run locally. And so now it's down to about 30 seconds for the regression test run. So, yeah. Good questions, though. Thank you. Yeah, so what the AI did and didn't, I mean, it did read 25,000 lines of PHP, and it did draft the Go, and it did read 2.5 gigs of Smally, and it didn't get bored. It didn't decide what to build, and it didn't judge what was important to build. I own the result. It didn't, right? And all of the tests and everything was human. Yeah, I'm in the loop. And you know, stuff happens. There will always be times when we have to walk away, but these things can help. So don't forget to add tests, add comments, and add documentation to your human written code, so that other people can come along and understand it afterwards. So, muchas gracias. And I think we still have plenty of time for questions, right? I don't normally go over time.
About the Android Auto that you modify. Yes, I see. You publish the modifications. So
Oh yeah, they're
Chinese are happy.
They're all public. They're all open source. I mean, that is the least polished one, if you like. That's the classic builder's house one. Yeah.
So, Andrew, could you share a little bit about your technical, like your workflow, and what kind of integration you do, if you use an ID in particular, or how really you actually, if you use the same workflow for any kind of projects you present? If you use the same workflow tools and integration for all the projects you present, or
no, they're all quite different. I mean, that's why I thought it's presenting these is very different approaches. One of them is test-driven development from day one. You know, another one is the whole platform underneath it changed, and the third one is this: just give something that you couldn't possibly understand to the AI.
I mean the tools you are using actually for them.
Yeah, well, I'm still using Claude code in a shell, you know, using the GUI in a terminal. So typically I have one terminal with the GUI, and I have another terminal open just with a shell in the project directory. And then you know, I make some changes to the software or something, and I commit it and push it usually and rebuild. It's a little bit more complicated deploying to the car.
Thank you.
But yeah.
Hi, thank you for the talk. I would like to know, what is your next project?
Well, I mean, there are other projects than these that I've been working on. So I rewrote my blog, which is many years absent from the internet, and I've incorporated into it all of the posts that I did on Google Plus during the years it existed, because I downloaded my takeout file. And it's a very photography-focused blog. I like to take a lot of photos, and so I've built it, but I've built that like entirely from scratch. I didn't try and reuse something that already existed. I thought it'd be more fun that way. I kind of like to write code. And the other project that I did put significant effort into, and actually probably before these three, was the dashboard for the DFSG team.
I do have one more question. You're saying that you use Cloud Code in one terminal and then you have the project in another.
Well, I usually have 4 windows open on any
Right,
given
okay.
desktop on my laptop.
How do you manage if you do isolation, like access isolation? If the Cloud Code thing is running on your laptop, then it has access to whatever is on your laptop.
It does. It's pretty well behaved though. It by default, the Claude code won't look outside the directory that you started in. And it seems to have hard limits to do that. You can tell it to look outside though, and you'll then get a prompt saying, when it tries to, saying, do you want to? And of course, these things change over time as well. It's the way it does that now is different to the way it used to do it. But I haven't had any problems that I know of. No, I'm not running any agents other than the one in the terminal in front of me.
So it would have access to your PGP key as well.
Yeah, but it doesn't have access to my passphrase.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Andrew.
You-
things implement into Hugo. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a designer, so and I'm also a web developer.
Yeah.
So I would like to contribute from the design perspective and also to transition to
Mm.
so
Yeah.
I'm open and I would like to contribute just that.
Yeah.
And I will try to find someone, I don't know, someone who has experience with you.
Yeah. Yes, sometimes it's hard. So I think our CSS files are good, not perfect currently. But I also don't know if we need more CSS stuff to program. And we are tied to certain things. And sometimes a designer says, oh, I have this program and this just generates some CSS. I don't know anything. But we are sometimes a little picky and look into it and say, oh, JavaScript is okay, but there are some things we don't want to have in CSS files or in HTML files, or that someone comes and says, there's a huge JavaScript library, and with using this library, we can have a very beautiful design. So these things are hopefully now fixed, and we know what we want to use, but some Hugo template stuff, this is what's still needed. Okay. Okay, thanks.